Alright class, how you doing? My name is Kevin Ward. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about doing an oil change. I'm going to inform you on some of the common safety issues you'll find while doing an oil change, some of the common tools you may use doing an oil change, and lastly follow up with some common steps you will perform while doing an oil change. Now these steps are going to be generic in nature, so you want to find the steps that apply for your particular vehicle. Today I'm just going to be describing just a regular oil change you'll find on a normal vehicle. So first, let me start off with some of the safety issues. The best thing to do after driving your vehicle and needing to do an oil change is let the engine cool off. You don't want to get in the engine and start messing around while there's hot metal and the exhaust pipe and everything just gets up to about 200, 220 degrees on average. So you want to let that cool off for about an hour or so and then come out and start doing your oil change. With the hot metal comes the hot fluid, which is the hot oil you're going to be draining. Most times, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be taking the oil plug off with your hand. So you don't want to drain that oil and take the plug off and all the oil is going to come all over your hand, and it gets pretty hot, so it's not a fun day. Lastly, if you need to raise or jack your vehicle up for any reason, most of the SUVs and trucks made these days you can slide right under, but I know some of the cars, like my WRX, I got to jack up a little bit to be able to fit underneath there. You want to use the proper rating jack, also the proper rating for the jack stand. The jack stand supports the vehicle in the case of the jack failure or just in case you need to move the jack. So it's more of a permanent rest for the vehicle. Alright, next I'm going to move into some of the common tools you might find while doing an oil change. The most common is going to be a socket and ratchet set. I like these better than wrenches because you can definitely maneuver these and get these on and off a lot quicker than wrenches and sometimes. Next is going to be the oil filter wrench. I just got a regular strap wrench, nothing too fancy. There are different styles out there that have the metal O-ring or maybe a little cap that fits on with a nut on the end. You can unscrew it off, but this right here just seems to do the trick for everything I need. Alright, next you're going to want to get a good set of screwdrivers. I only have one here, but a good set of screwdrivers. You never know when you might need one while you're under there, and you don't want to get up and find the tool. Oh, if you're holding something and you need it, you want to have them right there with you. So that's always a good thing to have. A good working light. A good working light is paramount. You get under there, it gets dark, you're looking up in the engine bay, and you can't really tell because there's light coming through. So you want to have light to project in there so you can see what you're doing. Lastly, I've probably worn this thing 3 or 4 times. It's just a sleeve. You just slide on over your hand and it protects your forearm in the event of you get any sharp edges or even a hot engine in case you have to do an oil change rather quickly after driving it. And lastly, can't do an oil change without an oil pan and a funnel. So you can find most of these tools down at a auto parts store, or really Walmart would have everything, I'm sure. Okay, so talked about some of the safety issues involved and the tools. Let's go ahead and run through some of the steps you're going to perform while doing an oil change. First thing I do is take the oil cap off. What that does is just allow atmospheric pressure to get down in there. When you're draining the oil, it just makes everything flow a lot smoother out of the oil pan. So after you take the cap off, you're going to want to get under the vehicle and drain the oil. So you want to loosen the drain plug and take that off and let that drain. And while you're under there, if you have a big enough oil pan and your filter's close to your drain plug, you can just slide the oil pan over and take the filter off all at the same time. That saves a little bit of time. And then once you get that done, you're going to want to take the new filter and lube the O-ring. As you can see in this filter here, it has a black O-ring around the top here. That's just the seal that you want to lubricate before you get to installing that thing. So after you lubricate that, go ahead and install it hand tight, and then maybe a quarter, half turn after that. Then you want to get up, ensure that the engine is still flowing oil out the bottom or draining. If it's not, you can just plug that off with the pipe, with the oil pan plug. After you bring that up, come up to the top, you want to take your new oil and funnel and fill the vehicle with oil. After doing that, you want to check the oil, periodically to make sure that you're not overfilling it. After you get at least a reading on the stick, you want to get in the vehicle and start it to allow the oil pump to circulate the oil through the engine and into the filter. That's going to give you a more accurate reading and a better idea of what kind of oil you have inside the vehicle. After that, you just want to top it off and make sure that everything's in place, and make sure your oil level is where it needs to be. So let me go ahead and go over here and show you some common areas on the vehicle. Of course, keep in mind this is just a WRX, nothing too fancy. So this right here is going to be the oil cap, the oil dipstick. And the best thing about doing an oil change is it gives you an idea of what your vehicle engine bay looks like. This is a great opportunity for you to check out your belts, any hoses, your air filter. Just, if anything looks out of place or broken, stretched, cracked, whatever, it just gives you a good idea and a good opportunity for you to check out your vehicle, and this will help you alleviate any major problems down the road if there are any. Alright, so today I've covered the basic oil change to include the safety issues, the common tools you may find. Also, just ran through the steps of a basic oil change. Again, you want to make sure that you get the procedures for your specific vehicle. Sometimes vehicles have engine cover plates on the bottom that you have to take off first. So like I said, this is just a generic overview of doing an oil change. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. My name is Kevin Ward, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.